All right, now we're starting over here. And this is Emerson and Maxine Chapman. And Emerson and my dad were second cousins. And then we got Judy and Margaret. And I'm sorry.
Craig Emerson Chapman.
Craig Emerson
and
Chapman.
I'm third cousin to Martha and Richard and Stephen.
Right.
Two Meekers and a
DeBarros, yeah. All right, now go over this, what you were explaining to me here again.
Okay, Dr. Meeker.
These are donuts.
Donuts and coffee and Pepsi.
Okay, Dr. Meeker, his first wife was Martha Jane Johnson.
Right.
She was born in 1821, and Doctor was born in 1818 in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Right.
So I'm assuming that Martha Jane Johnson was from the Cincinnati, Ohio area.
That must be Butler County, because I had it. Something I had written down was Butler County.
Right. And, of course, she died. His first wife died in 1855. They were married in January of 1840. They had 3 children, Margaret, Nathaniel, who also went on to be a doctor. His second child, only boy, but that marriage was Nathaniel Meeker. He went on to be a doctor, and he lived up in the close to Champaign, the Parkville, Gemtown area. But anyway, Charity Bowen is the third daughter. She had a bunch of children, but 2 of her children, I think they're twins. Mom might be right, they might not be. But Jerry and Jesse Bowen. Jerry Bowen married Molly Horton, and many of their descendants, the Steeles, Bob Steele was my age, and they're in this area still. And Jesse Bowen, another son, married Lottie Horton. And I believe these were all in the same family, sisters and all, to Elijah Curtis's wife. But anyway, then
Martha,
Martha Ann Horton. And so anyway, then his second, he remarried. Dr. Meeker remarried on October 16th of 1856 to Clarissa Ann Wildman, and they had 7 children. But David Meeker Jr. Married Lorinda Horton. Okay, Aunt Lou, and Elijah Curtis married Martha Ann Horton. So the first one were grandsons that married the Horton girls.
Meekers, which were Bowens, and then they married the Hortons.
Yes, and then 2 of the Meeker boys married the Horton girls too. And then Jim Horton, a brother to these, owned the elevator in Garrett. And in fact, Dad, when he come back from the war in 42 or 45, he loaned him some money and talked him into buying some wheat on the Board of Trade. And Dad said Dad ended up making $500 or $600. That Jim Horton helped my father make some money on the Board of Trade, and Jim owned the elevator in Garrett, Illinois. And he was a brother to all these girls here.
We were talking with Ron Gregory last night, and they're the ones that are leasing our farm.
Oh, yeah,
they're leasing our farm. But he was telling me that the Hortons would loan people money ahead of time. They would pay them for their crop before it had even come in, but just said, make sure that you bring it to me, because he helped a lot of people.
He probably lost some money that way, but he made a lot of friends. Everyone loved Jim Horton.
Right.
And of course, my great-grandfather was Manliff Helton.
Right.
And that was a brother to Elijah. And
he was the youngest brother, right?
No. John Meeker was the youngest. John went to Wichita. He sold his land and went to Wichita, Kansas. We have a lot of relation in Wichita.
I see.
Manliff was born in 1871, and Elijah was born in 67. So the closest brother to Curtis was my great-grandfather, Manny. We call him Manny Manliff. They were only 4 years apart. I believe, you know more about this than I do, I think Curtis got either TB or an asthma breathing condition, and he had to leave this area to go to Texas because of for health reasons. I'm not saying he had TB, but back then, a lot of times if you had breathing issues, you had to go to a warmer, drier climate.
A higher, dry climate. They told him, here that if he got to a high, dry climate, he might live 2 or 3 more years. Well, he lived 60 more years.
He did not. Of course, my grandfather might have lived longer. He dropped these billfold in the field when he's trying to burn grass, and he went out to get his billfold in the middle of burning grass, waist high, caught fire, and he caught on fire, and then he burned up to the waist.
That was your grandfather?
My great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather?
And man, Curtis's brother, Manny Harris. And he laid in bed for about 3 or 4 months before he died. I remember,
How old was he when that happened, do you know?
Well, it looks like, let's see here, turn it up. 80, he was 80 years old.
Oh, okay.
He was 80.
So that would have been in the 50s.
Yes, April 30th, 1951 is when he died, but he got burnt, I'm going to say April 1st, he laid 30 days. And I was born in 47, so I was about 4 years old. And I remember going up to his bed to see him, because I played with my great-great-grandfather, and I couldn't see over the top of the bed. He had a hospital bed. I was looking like this, and I couldn't see him. But before he got burnt, out in the country, he'd sit in a chair, and he had a big brass spittoon, and they had papers there, but he'd tell me, Craig, he'd say, move that spittoon over about 3 feet and watch this, and he'd spit and hit that spittoon, and my grandma Molly'd say, Manny, are you spitting or trying to hit that? Because she'd get it on the floor, and she complained about it.
I've got that out there.
Yeah, my dad has a spittoon.
It's out there in my
I see.
spittoon. It's out in my garage for him, and his chair is downstairs.
His chair's down there. And of course, now you realize I was only 4 when he died.
Right.
But we used to go there every Sunday for dinner, and he would sit at the head of the table, and he shook when he'd pick up his tea, and it shook.
Right.
I always remember because you'd hear the ice cube. And back then, now this was in, I'm going to say 1950, because he died in 51. He had a straw, and it had one of those bend things in it.
Right.
And I thought, that is cool.
The coolest bendy straw,
back in the 50s. And that was in 1950, and I thought, he got iced tea, and he had one of those bend straws.
Yeah.
But I know he shook a lot when he picked his tea up.
Did Uncle Kurt have that